Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to a Triple M. This is a very late upload, but still technically will get uploaded in my time zone on my Monday. This is the series of video where we take a look at the MapleStory subreddit every Monday over the last week, and we see kind of what people have been talking about. I think this week is pretty much just going to be talking about the Inkwell note. So, if you want to see my opinions on the Inkwell note, I suppose stick around. Otherwise, no worries. Head on out. Honestly, no worries, man. Honestly, my brother, honestly. I think a lot of people need to be reminded that, you know, you can watch whatever you want, and if there's so many videos out there on the internet, you should watch things that are going to bring you joy and happiness. That being said, with that reminder out of the way, if you're going to stick with us, make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't. Bigger number, better person. Makes me feel better personally, and all that hoopla. So what we have here is MapleStory Inkwell's note. This is the post-Stargazer upcoming plans. I have read this briefly when it first dropped. There's a couple things that I wanted to touch on, but we'll take it as it comes. So this is Inkwell. It's been a while since 20th anniversary commemorative video. Content that was specifically prepared to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Global MapleStory this year has been released one by one, and we're grateful that many have enjoyed it. Mo Schwan, expansion of familiars to all remaining regions is something that we have been requesting for a long time. Sia Estelle, we figured out early while watching the video. Brought us joy to see you discover the hints. Thank you for your support. Okay, so here's the first piece of information. The boss crystals. This is something that I kind of figured, because they said back in the... Was it the last note? It was one of the notes, I believe, that in V.260 that they would have an update on crystals. And while there was no quote-unquote direct update to crystals with V.260, nothing changed. And I kind of took that to assume, like, nothing would be changing. Obviously, they can do whatever the hell they want, whenever the hell they want. But that's just kind of how I interpreted it. And they finally did kind of come out and say here they'd like to provide clarity on crystals. They would let us know that they would review the sales at V60, V260. After sufficient internal discussion and review, they ultimately decided not to change the crystals and keep it at 180. It was already implemented and reflected, because nothing changed. And they just said, apologizing that they didn't make the stance clear in advance, it led to confusion. But yes, they're going to keep it at 180. This information was previously announced in the official Discord channel, but the message wasn't clear. I didn't know this, because I'm not in the official Discord. I do think it's strange using a Discord as like an official channel for like news or updates, rather than like the game website or like the game forum. Not that the game has a forum anymore, but you know what I mean. It's just strange. And then they are introducing a public test server. So many of us have expressed concerns about service stability. As a result, they're internally reviewing the introduction of a PTS. Discussion about a PTS began last winter, but at the time they decided it wouldn't be feasible. However, during the summer, the need for one was highlighted, with a consensus forming across various departments, and we're pushing forward in a more concrete direction. And then upon review, they concluded that the introduction of a PTS isn't something that can simply be resolved, which is true. And it won't be feasible to have it ready this year, but their goal is to introduce it the first half of next year, first or second quarter of 2026, which I think is reasonable. You know, I do. Because I think the way that I've always taken these Inkwell notes and the way that I've taken the whole Go West patch as a whole is I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. And while historically they don't deserve the benefit of the doubt, they being Nexon in this case, at the end of the day, I think it's healthier mindset for me personally to not constantly be like assuming the worst for everything. And obviously if things do end up being bad, you know, you can always assess at each individual breakpoint. Am I willing to deal with this? Am I willing to play through this? And if the answer is no, you know, I can always just leave. You know what I mean? But I just think it's better for my own mental to look at it from a sense of, we'll see what they do. I'm not, like, assuming that these things will happen or that things will change, but I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? And it obviously does take time to hire like a specific development team for our region specifically, and they have shown that they've been doing it, and they have shown that they are making the changes that they said they would be. They are talking about the things that they did say they would be talking about. They are continually releasing like these interactive notes to communicate with us directly. Sure, they're not every single month. Sure, they're not every 2 months, but they're spread out enough times of the year, 3 or 4 times a year. That's better than 0 times a year, right? And then, of course, that's just how I'm personally taking it, you know what I mean? You don't have to take it how I take it. Everybody has their own interpretation and their own things that they're willing to deal with, willing to do, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, it's just how I'm taking it. And then another thing that they announced with this is the interactive world merge in the auction house. Specifically, the merge is something that's been consistently requested. It'll be implemented in V.262, releasing on August 27th. And they also cut the auction house fees. They decided to waive the 10% fee. So there's just not going to be an auction house fee cross-world, which I think is a very, very good idea. MapleCon Los Angeles. So MapleStory, I guess it's MapleCon, not MapleFest, but MapleCon. They are going over to LA. LA. I don't know, I got nothing else to say, really. I wish I would... I mean, I could go, but I think I got other things going on this year. We'll see. And then, of course, you got the gifts, the gift bags, the little vinyl record, which is pretty cool. You have your in-game stuff. Ticket sales begin on Friday, August 22nd. And then this is some of the stuff that we're getting in V.262 and V.263. So in the next update, we're getting the Legion Champions, we're getting Night Troop Mulung, we're getting Champion Burning, we're getting Challenger World Pre-Leap, and we're getting a Dave the Diver extension, which is fire, because Dave the Diver is a really good event with a really good shop. Even if you're not super big fan of like the minigame itself, which I think the minigame is honestly fire. As somebody who hates playing other games in my game, Dave the Diver is really fun, and I still enjoy doing it. Even to this day. And then in V.263, which is the update after the one that we're going to get, you're getting Hexa 3, you're getting the skill revamp for all jobs, so the 2-minute change. You're getting boss reward improvements and special skill rings, Baldrick's Destiny Weapon UI revamp. You're getting basically everything. The last part of the... what was it? Was it the next update or the Destiny update? I don't remember what the fuck they called it. I think it's the next update in Korea is what they called it. But that's the final part of it, I believe, because Baldrick's and Hexa 3 come out with Destiny weapons, all that good shit. And then it just kind of shows you here a little bit more Legion Champion system. This is... you get designate 3 characters as Legion Champions. You have to defeat bosses solo and 20-minute timers with them. I think the bosses are... Hard Lotus? It starts with Hard Lotus, right? Then is it Black Mage? Does it go Hard Lotus Black Mage? Hard Lotus Vihilla Black Mage? Hard Saren Kalos? I don't know. It's something like that. I'm not going to pretend like I know. I could look it up. I just don't remember. But basically, it's a bunch of increasing boss levels, and depending on what boss you're able to solo and defeat with your Legion Champion, you get... not account-wide stats, but Legion Champion-wide stats. So every character that has Legion Champion status will be sharing different stat buffs. It's basically like Legion 2, but only for the Legion Champions, if that makes sense. And in order to get the stats, you must defeat the bosses solo in a certain timer. And then Midnight Carnival, which is Night Troop. This is Mulung. Very good grinding event. Gonna be doing a lot of grinding. Probably hit 291 during this B. World Leap is still going on, I guess. Oh no, this is the Challenger World Leap, not the Hyperion World Leap. Yeah, that makes sense. Champion Double Up, which is a fine event. And then the Dave the Diver extension. Then you got the skill revamp. It's going to be the 2-minute changes. Rest in peace, Nightwalkers everywhere. I wish they would fix our origin lasting 30 seconds down to 20. God rest its soul. And then Oz rings are also getting adjusted to 2 minutes. Baldrick's is coming out. Destiny weapons are coming out. God, Eternal Gear Some of them look bad, some of them look good. Specifically, the mage, the archer. I don't mind the pirate, but the fucking thief and the warrior one just are not doing it for me. I love the wizard hat, though. It's so good. And then the UI overhaul. A lot of people say it makes it look more mobile-friendly. Up to you, you know, it's your opinion. And then the direction of the upcoming winter update. Process of establishing Team GMS last year and launching own service was not easy. Thanks to the support and encouragement of many, I believe we've reached a certain level of stability and success. I would agree, honestly. I know a lot of people will look at this and laugh because there have been a lot of issues. But considering the scope of what they decided to do internally over such a, honestly, small period of time, because it did kind of seem very reactionary, not so much planned out. And what I mean by this is when KMS killed off Reboot, that's kind of what split off the Go West thing. It seemed very reactionary. It wasn't like as typically well thought out as things usually are. So I don't know. I guess maybe that's part of the reason why I give them the benefit of the doubt more so than otherwise. They've achieved meaningful results in terms of quantitative growth of the service the past year. I feel we didn't pay enough attention to some of the relatively small but critical details. Therefore, this winter, it's going to be mostly QOL. Mostly QOL and quality of service, which I think is very good. Some of the major content will be selectively applied, but GMS development resources will be mostly focused on improving the overall GMS gameplay through features of QOL and continuous care. At first glance, they may seem minor and inconsequential compared to the considerable development cost. Given the limited resources available, these tasks have often been lower priority. However, thanks to the overwhelming support we've received, we've been able to form a general consensus on the development direction to improve the game's long-term quality. This winter, we're finally ready to put these plans into action. I mean, that's fire. And then here are some of the things that they're going to do. Obviously, it's not limited to this, but this is starting point, right? Every Link skill is getting a level 3 version, which I think is really good. It's going to be a lot of free damage. And it's also just kind of something that I understand why it didn't exist, but if we're going to have half the classes have level 3 Link skills, they all should, and I've always said that. So it's good that they're finally doing this. There's going to be additional ways to acquire equipment and restore... fuck me, I cannot speak. Restore destroyed equipment. So basically, this is the Star Force changes or like additional ways to get traces that they mentioned in the last note. We recognize Maplers are facing difficulty obtaining high-end equipment and the need to rely on monster drops for items, especially in heroic worlds where trade is restricted. We were considering the introduction of Star Force expansion feature from KMS. We concluded that the benefit of increasing the upper limit of player power needed to be maintained, but the acquisition structure of spare equipment, which is currently focused on boss loot, should be revamped to align with the GMS environment. When we bring over that feature, we plan to prepare various restoration methods and spare equipment acquisition routes with the time and effort of players have invested. So basically, a system that allows the players to collect fragments of high-level equipment and exchange them for completed pieces of equipment. So does this mean pitched? Logic says yes. So pitched pity, soft confirmed. A system to restore destroyed equipment via a quest. This is fire. We don't know what exactly this entails, but this is very fire. An item dedicated to restoring destroyed equipment traces during the Star Force enhancement process. So this is like an item that will destroy a trace or restore a trace into an item, which is also basically just giving you a free dupe. Again, very good. Reducing the penalty for destroyed items during the Star Force enhancement process. Does this mean different Star Force checkpoints upon restoration? Who knows? We don't really know what this means, but I'm excited to see what this exactly encompasses, because I think this is really, really good, really fire. Equipment progression assistance. We provide a support system that will replace item burning, a system that assures short-term rental of specific equipment. I think that's interesting. And then there's briefly mention of a familiar system improvement. The notable things is they're providing familiar system presets, which is good. Locking them is just annoying. Expanding familiar inventory and bag slots. This should have been done so long ago. And removing less preferred elements from familiar potential and adjusting potential stats. Get rid of turns your character red and black, please, for the love of God. I mean, this is just really good. These are big W's, both of these. Very big W. And then, this is also unsure how this is going to work for Heroic, but basically they're saying more characters will share prerequisite quests, and also the transfer of Absolab Arcane Umbra equipment between characters within the account will be supported. What does that mean for Heroic? We don't know. But will it mean that you can trade Abso gear and Arcanes freely between your characters through your account? Maybe. We'll just have to wait and see. And then there's more QOL stuff. Favorites for event lists is kind of cool. And then other convenient stuff. Improved process of bulk opening boxes, cache items, simplifying text that needs to be input when obtaining items, thank God. Invincibility status when using invincibility skills, all that good stuff. And they'll give more info at MapleCon. And then closing, further details, despite our shortcomings, Team GMS has been steadily growing and we have prepared a small gift, blah blah blah, we hope you enjoy them. Overall, I think I'm very optimistic and I'm very excited. I really am. And I don't know, I'm just excited, man, and I hope you guys are too, because I think that's fire. Thank you, Inkwell. This meme is so funny. Pitched boss drop fragments, level 3 links for all, public test server, restoring boomed equipment is a big-ass plus. I genuinely hope the transfer Abso means it'll work for Chronos. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff here. And I don't want to yap for too long. I think I've yapped long enough. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your guys' thoughts as always. Like the video if you like it, subscribe. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Thank you to my YouTube members. Remix My Life, I'm Nufu. It's Biscuits Inter Diz. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye!